हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप सबका हमारे चैनल इग्नो सेंटर पर। तो दोस्तों, आज का जो हम असाइनमेंट प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहे हैं वो आपका MEG 08 का सॉल्व असाइनमेंट होगा। ये हमें बहुत से रिक्वेस्ट आए हैं, इसीलिए हम अपने चैनल पर MEG 08 की वीडियो अपलोड कर रहे हैं, नहीं तो हम MEG 07 के अपलोड करने वाले थे। तो दोस्तों, बढ़ते हैं आज की जो MEG 08 की जो 2021 to 22 का सॉल्व असाइनमेंट है उसके क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स की तरफ। तो दोस्तों, आपका जो क्वेश्चंस MEG 08 में आया है वो क्या क्या क्वेश्चंस है वो हम देख लेते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आपका ये क्वेश्चन से attempt all the 10 questions and answer each questions in appropriately 500 words। तो आपको 500 वर्ड्स में इच क्वेश्चंस का आंसर देना है। जो नंबर 1 क्वेश्चन से द colonial educational system was inadequate for the creation of a national consequence with regard to the Caribbean identity. Do you agree? Give reason for your answers. Or number 2, what are the geographical and social political contexts that have shaped the literature of the Australia? तो दोस्तों, आज का जो टॉपिक है यही दो क्वेश्चन हम डील करेंगे। बाद में जो नेक्स्ट होगा पार्ट उस पर हम दूसरे क्वेश्चंस डील करेंगे। तो दोस्तों, ये क्वेश्चंस का आंसर थोड़ा लंबा है, इसीलिए हम इसको पार्ट पार्ट पर डिवाइड करके आपको आंसर्स बताएंगे। तो दोस्तों, हमने जैसे आपको कहा था द नंबर 1 क्वेश्चंस और नंबर 2 क्वेश्चंस आप मैच करके देख सकते हैं। यही क्वेश्चन है जिसका हम आपको सॉल्व असाइनमेंट प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहे हैं, और यही क्वेश्चन है जो आपके इग्नो में असाइनमेंट में दिए गए हैं। तो दोस्तों, बढ़ते हैं हम अपने क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स की तरफ। तो दोस्तों, ये जो आंसर्स है जैसे आपको दिया गया है वैसे ही आपको लिख देना है। तो जो नंबर 1 क्वेश्चन है उसका आंसर हम डिस्कस करते हैं। The colonial education system was inadequate for the creation of a national consequences with regard to the Caribbean identity. Do you agree? Give reason for your answer. And the answer for these questions is many of them believe in resisting the high status of English and colonizing education. Point 1. Point 2. There were some, however, who did not believe in the political concern of art, education, and literature. Point 3. They held the view that point 3. A. Art should be apolitical, and point B. Literature should be universal standard and Anglo-centric. Point 4. The following is an extract from GEC MC Florence in 1935 address the challenge of our times. As representative of a great tradition, we offer you poetry upon which we feel certain the true foundation of this Europe rests, and by which it will be preserved throughout the storm that hangs above the horizon of the civilization. Point 5. E.A. Cars also express similar views. Many good artists today are deliberately denying, denying the essential part that traditional play is art. The flouting of this fact has something ever of the phantasm of a crusade. It seems the political unrest of the age has seeped into and infected the serenity of the sphere of art. 6.a. The following words of Florence is in connection with his view of poetry are also very pertinent. Number B. Florence believed in the role of poetry as restoring the lost outline in raising it from the maze of sensuous thing into the clear atmosphere of the spirit. Point C. Thus, Florence believed in the function of poetry in serving to humanity and the clear atmosphere of the spirit. Point 7. F.R. Lewis writes in the Great Tradition explaining the cause of the great writers as being moral vision. Point 8. Thus, visually, Farlens and Carr believe in number A political role of arts and literature, number B, literature and art being divorced from social affiliation, point C, projecting a moral vision and value, point 9. Carr in particular reject idea of social commitment of art. 10. Both Farlens and Carr believe in impartial motherland imperial culture. Point 11. Similar C.L.R. James in his essay Discovering Literature in Trinidad expressed pride in having studied Western literature. Point 12. A. Actually, James, while appreciating the Western literature, does not go the whole hog Western way. Point B. He was in fact a key figure in anti-colonial movement in Trinidad. Point C. His classical education is a valid point in erasing the Trinidadian consequences. Point D. He is also instrumental in promoting cricket as a sport of West Indies. Point E. Thus, as a colonized intellectual, he presents a particular ambivalent, paradoxical position. Point F. He, at least, does not believe in a fixed abhorrence of Western heritage and value. Point G. Thus his view presents a contrast to the ideology of totally colonial traditional of M.C. Florence and Carr. The 1960s and 1970s are known as the decades of the critics in the Caribbean literature. The following points are worth noting. Number 1. Some Caribbean countries have meanwhile attained independence while others were striving at it. Point 2a. The West India Federalization broke up in 1962. Point b. This caused disenchantment to many. Point 3. It was a period of transition about which Wordsworth wrote in 1977, for which please see page 282 of his The Love Acts Developing a Caribbean Aesthetic 1962 to 1974 1. Also see Routledge Reader page 344. 4a. It should be noted that trend was clearly towards local literary and critical activity within the Caribbean region. B. The expatriated London base was discredited. Point 5. It was brought about chiefly by important essay in journal which encouraged debates concerning linguistic and formal experimentation in the Caribbean literature. Point 6. The following writers mainly contribute to these debates: Braithwaite, Walcott, Sylvia Winter. These were other poets who contribute to this revisionist agenda. Some of them were Victor Questel, Mervyn Morris, Anthony M.C. Neal, Dennis Scott. Beside the above, they were the following dual or performance poet: Michael Smith A. Number B. Muta Baruka. Number C. Britton Linton. Number D. Bongo Jerry. Number E. Oku, Ounaro, Onura, etc. Point 9. Four important journal may be mentioned that help in recentering and shifting the literacy sense from the expedited metropolitan to the Caribbean matrix by number A. Silva Winter, Cuba Brown, Jamaican writer and critics. We must learn to sit down together and discuss a little culture reflection on West India writing and criticism. Number B. Braithwaite, Timhiri and Gates and the West India Novel 1, 2, 3. Drake Walcott, The Museum of History. Point 10. The following points about this essay should be noted. Number A, we must learn to sit together and discuss a little culture reflection on West Indian writing and criticism 1968 to 69. In this essay, number 1, the impact of colonialism and migration on West Indian society from historical and material to angels is discussed. Point 2. It was believed that literary and critical activities had been turned into merely branch plan to the Metropolitan Culture Center. Number 3. In this essay, Winter plays for a swing back towards the African myth from reality of Europe as Walcott had called it. Point 4. Winter is a mean to shake off the appendage of branch plant syndrome and resettle all critical and literary activities within the Caribbean region. Gates and the Western Novel 1 to 3. In this essay, Braithwaite tries to theorize the critical practice of the West Indian novel. He drew an analogy of this process to the Gates. Number 3. Braithwaite attempt in drawing this analogy between two forms, literary A and number B, musical. It is not quite successful. Number 4, however, he is successful in presenting his viewpoint in advocating the inclusion of such form in the Caribbean linguistic aesthetic as number A, folklore, number B, Crespo, number C, Saka, number D, Rigezi, etc. Number 5. He rejects the head center romantic or Victorian tradition. Number 6. The following is his definition of the Gates novel. The Gates novel deals with specific, clearly defined flock type community and will try to express the essence of this community though its focus. Number 7. He is equivalent in presenting his agenda for the Caribbean writers. It is number A Creole culture and a Creole way of seeming. First, page number 342 to 43. Number 8, it is clear that he pleads for all literary and critical activities within the Caribbean region. Timiri, 1970. In this essay, Braithwaite's views are ambivalent regarding number 1, his own critical practice in particular, and number 2, Caribbean criticism in general. Number 3, in this essay, Braithwaite plead for reclamation of the number 1, Amerindians and African, number 2, African past, number B, in statement of the Caribbean experiences. Number C, positive reinscription of the Caribbean culture. Number 4, in this is a brevet force focused on the contribution of the Amerindian culture to the contemporary Caribbean art form. His idea canon for the development of the Caribbean aesthetic was what we called a journey into the past and hinterland, which is at the same time a movement of position into present and future. Through this movement of position, we become truly ourselves, truly our own creator, discovering words for object, image for the words. Number 6, he discredited the idea of getting stuck in the rootlessness symptoms of the 1950s. This is what he said: I was coming to an awareness and understanding of community, of culture, wholeness of the place of the individual within the tribe in society. I came to a sense of identification of myself with these people, my living diviners. I came to connect my history with the bridge of my mind now linking Antarctic and ancestor, homeland and heartland. And I came home to find that I had not really lived, that it was still Africa. Africa is the Caribbean, the connection between my lived but not unheaded, not middle class boyhood, and its great tradition on the eastern mainland had become made. He rejects the Eurocentric livist great tradition. Number 7. Number 8a. He is very close to advocating come back to live corner of reality played by writer. Number B. It is in this context that he played for his African ancestry. Number 9. Thus, like Winter, he played for location of all creativity, literary and critical activity within the Caribbean region. The Muse of History, 1974 by Derek, Derek Walcott. Number 1.1. In this essay, Walcott rejects the linear concept of time. Point 2. Instead, he believed in the cyclic and fluid movement of his historical movement. Point 2. Thus he revisionist agenda embedded. Point 1. Coming out of the linear trap of history. Point 2. Disengagement from the bitterness and recrimination of history. Point 3. 1. He saw history as fictionality which the writers must grasp to be writer of substance. Point 2. He should not be bogged down in the past. Point 3. Real literature could emerge only through the process of liberation. Point 5. Point 4. Rejecting the motion of Caribbean history as presenting a sense of loss and oppression, he presented his revisionist history reorientation in his 1992 Nobel Prize Literature. The anthilist fragment of epic memory in the context of the present and the consciousness instead of aiming and recovering the past. Point 5. He believed in newest and emotional liberating and to inspirational possibility of literature which the Caribbean writer can bring about. Note the syllabus syllabus appeared in 1970 and 1979, which number A open up new avenues, number B start new trends, and number C facilitate new voices. Towards new voices, the following points deserve attention. Number 1, many of these classic produced during the bomb period, particularly those of Selvon and Naipaul, had linguistic experimentation with Creole as a native trend. Number 2.1, earlier Louis Bennett had experimented with Jamaican Creole in 1930 and 1940s century. Point 2. However, these are other similar experimentation with Creole had been dismissed for their exotic flavor. Point 3. The subversive implication of the Creole language had not earlier been recognized. Point 3.1. According MC Farland's, Creole was regarded as a dialect and a broken tongue. Number 2, an edifice of verse possessing the perfect symmetry of finished art could not be built with such a tongue. Number 4, the symbol of building process had been used by several writers by Naipaul in his A House for Mr. Bourgeois. Number 5, according to Bennett, Introduction to Jamaican Libraries 1966, Rex Nettleford pointed out Creole to be an unruly substance and an item whose limitation as a bastard tongue are too evident. Number 6, the scholarly was generally held in very low esteem. Number 7, the trend started changing from 1960th century onwards when linguistic studies started and the Caribbean writer starting campaigning its cause. Point 1. Point 2. Then the expected writer began to be discredited. Point 3. Now Creole was expected to be used as a linguistic literary item to identify the indigenous Caribbean aesthetic. The trend was now towards number A, native and grassroots sources, number B, folk resource. Point 5. There is clear subversive use of Creole versus standard English in the Crespo Dan is the man. Point 6a. In his Harvard lecture 1979, History of the Voice, the development of national language in Anglophone Caribbean poetry, brevet raised Creole to the status of a national language. Number B. The essay was published in 1984. Point 7. Merle Hodge also pleaded for the reason of Creole in his essay Challenges of the Struggle for Sovereignty. 1990. We speak Creole, we need Creole. We cannot function without Creole, for our deepest thought processes are brought up in the structure of Creole, but we hold Creole in contempt. Hodge, 1992. 13.8. New voices were the performance of dub poets. Number A, Linton Kiwis Johnson. Number B, Bongo Jerry. Number C, Michael Smith. Number G, Mota Boruka. Number E, Oka onura. Number 9, dub poetry. Number 8, it is a kind of poetry which depends heavily on the performative and musical element. Number B, thus it is a sort of an oral literary form. Number 10, the important forerunners of performance poetry are: Number A, Jamaica Lewis, 1944 by Louis Bennett. Number B, The Irrelevance, A New World trilogy by Braithwaite. Point 9. The performance poets were greatly influenced by the use of chorale. Point 12. Given below is an example of performance poetry. The extract is from Five Nights of Bleeding by Linton Kewis Johnson. Night number 1 was in Brixton, was a beating of a rhythm with a fire coming down his reggae wa. It's a sono seeking down you spiral column. A bad music trading up you flesh. Point 13. The specimens of several black musical rhymes and folks are there in Brevet the Irrelevant. Example: Walk Song, Steel Pan. Number C, Jack and Blues, The Blues. Number D, Spiritual. Number E, Crespo. Number F, Rigetti. Number G, Mento. Number H, Saka, etc. Point 14. We have already noticed powerful rhymes while pursuing physicality in Five Nights of Bleeding. Point 15. A new generation of dub poets started Jamaica with Number A, Dead Beat and Blood, 1975 and by Johnson. Number B, Echo, 1977 by Oka Onura. Point 16. David Dance has made the use of chorale in his path-breaking collection, Slave Song. Point 17. The following are also some of the poets who have added substantially to the popularity of dub poetry: Jamaica Kincaid, Benjamin Zephaniah, Jean Beta Bridge, James Berry, etc. Point 18. The following are some of the poets who are living examples of the power of the oral literary model. Their poetry also justify the possibility of language being indigenous with the Caribbean region. Number A, Goodson. Number B, Grace Nicholas. Number C, Rolna, etc. Note the following are some important questions concerning this unit. So friend, till here our first question was completed. और ये जो क्वेश्चंस थे बहुत लंबे थे, आपको मालूम ही होगा 500 वर्ड्स कितने लंबे होते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आपको जिस हिसाब से हमने क्वेश्चंस डील किया है ये सेशन में, उसी हिसाब से आपको क्वेश्चंस का आंसर लिखना है। तो दोस्तों, हम ये जो नेक्स्ट पार्ट का वीडियो है, यानी क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 है, वो पार्ट 2 में बना देंगे, क्योंकि ये भी बहुत ऐसे ही लंबा क्वेश्चन है। आप देख सकते हैं इसका जो आंसर है वो भी जो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन था वैसे ही लंबा बन जाएगा। तो दोस्तों, ये पूरा वीडियो 1 घंटा का बन जाएगा, तो उतना हमारे पास अभी नेट अवेलेबल नहीं है। तो दोस्तों, हम अगर आपको क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 और क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 जो है नेक्स्ट पार्ट पर, अगर वो भी लंबा नहीं बना तो हम आपको बना देंगे। तो दोस्तों, क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 और क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 नेक्स्ट पार्ट पर हम बना देंगे, क्योंकि वो उतना लंबा नहीं है। और क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 जो था आपका वो बहुत लंबा था, इसीलिए आपको हमने क्वेश्चन नंबर जो 1 था सिर्फ पार्ट 1 पर बनाकर दिखाया। तो दोस्तों अगर आपको ये चैनल से कोई मदद मिल रहा है तो ज़रूर हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें। आपसे हम अभी 1 रुपये भी नहीं मांग रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये वीडियो बनाने में हमको बहुत सी मेहनत लग रहा है। तो आप जान सकते हैं कि ये वीडियो इतना लंबा बना रहे हैं, इतना लंबा रीडिंग करने में कितना समय लगता है। तो हाफ एन आवर हो चुका है, हम 1 क्वेश्चंस को अभी जस्ट रीड करके ख़त्म किए। तो आपका जो सेकंड और थर्ड क्वेश्चन होगा वो हम पार्ट 2 पर लेके आएंगे। और दोस्तों अगर आप हमारे चैनल के साथ नए हैं तो सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कर दीजिएगा और बेल आइकन प्रेस कर दीजिएगा, ताकि आपको नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चंस के अपडेट्स मिलते रहें। धन्यवाद।